This game is awesome, man. Probably one of the best simulators out there, truly. Hello again there, friends and fans. Raptor here, and welcome to our first look at a brand new Farming Simulator 25, coming out on the 12th of November, 2024. This game features some new locations we haven't been to before. Southern United States, been to the U.S. before, but not a map from Giants based on the southern section of the U.S., and also Asia, yeah, like Japan. So we're getting all sorts of cool new stuff like rice and Asian manufacturers of vehicles and equipment, and also some new stuff we haven't seen before, including the long, forever awaited GPS. I can't believe we've gone so long without a GPS system in the game, and even last time in Farming Sim 22, finally getting seasons for the first time, as well as more inclement weather in this edition, including tornadoes. So welcome aboard, good to see you all here. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at what the game has to offer in terms of maps. Oftentimes people ask what map are you on or whatnot. We've been playing a few hours in this game already, getting close, I think, to almost 20-30 hours of gameplay and hundreds of thousands of millions of hours more, at least it seems, in the previous Farm Sim games. But here is the southern U.S. map on a beautiful, kind of like a river that bends through, hence the name, a southern section of the U.S. that has some interesting little, if you look over on the right side, hard to see, but there's a ferry system, a couple of those that cross the river, and yeah, this map is really cool. And Giants has done an incredible job of adding a lot of realism to the layout of a map to where it's not like you can stand in a corner and almost see across the entirety of a map. They've now made it a lot more diverse and dense, and with areas that are just impassable. And, you know, like, for example, you can't really just drive through a river or over a mountain. You'll need to find and learn all the roads in the game. And here is the Hutan Pantai, the Japanese map. You can see the viaduct in the background. I've been to Japan many a time, and that really reminds me of the Shinkansen line that runs through a lot of Japan. If you've ever taken that train, or if not, definitely look up some videos and see how much farmland is in Japan, including a lot of rice paddies, which this one starts with a few right off the bat. A beautiful town, and definitely feels both rural and also urban at the same time, and same for the American map. And we have our Polish map, Zylanka, returning from Farming Sim 22, which was featured in one of the last DLCs. It was either Premium or Platinum, I always forget the order, but this one you may have seen before on the channel. This is where we got carrots and parsnips and some other great equipment. So very cool maps already. I have not yet tried Zylanka, but it feels like we're jumping into the past. But a great way to compare Farming Sim 22's map to Farming Sim 25's map. And also, we're getting a Year 1 pass with this game, and also a new map already announced for what I believe is Scotland at the beginning of 2025 sometime. So just within a few months, we're already going to get another new map. Now, I've heard from some of you, and I haven't yet been able to confirm this, that the game will be on Game Pass eventually, but not on launch. So if you want to get it for yourself, link is down below in the description. And let's jump into some gameplay and take our first look at rice harvesting and much more, including that GPS system in Farming Simulator 25. Let's go! Hold on just a second. A little bonus tip for you all on Farming Sim. If you are having trouble in multiplayer, as my friends and I have had trouble, this auto-accept button down here, it seems that a lot of players have been getting stuck at 0%. This is the pre-release version of the game, so this might be remedied by the time it comes out. But if you're having trouble joining somebody else's game, or if you're the host and people are having trouble joining you, try turning off auto-accept and manually accept your friends into the game. It's a little annoying, but it does seem to be a workaround for the current 0% loading glitch that's going on. Otherwise, when you set up your game, you have lots of options, including the ability to have a DLC. All your DLC will load here, including the Mastodon pack, or Macdon, which is a Swather, and there's also the pre-order bonus of the Golden New Holland Harvester, but this is kind of a actual feature, not just a vehicle, but almost like a mechanic that's behind a paywall in a way. And then, of course, we also have our standard start where you can pick the map, and then you have 3 settings to start with: Farm Manager, Start from Scratch, where you get to build your own farm, or New Farmer, where a few equipment pieces and also a farm are purchased for you. You can adjust your starting money up to $1 million. You can also start with a loan and change the economy at any time. So if the game is too much of a grind, or if you want more of a challenge and slower growth, you can adjust things there through that. Not to mention there's a ton of options in the game for, you know, modifying traffic and things like that. Okay, let's get into a save. We're going straight over to our Japan map. Let's get going. Now, one more thing that I wish the developers did here is in multiplayer, you can actually have your starting farm. This is where you start with the vehicles, actually. And if you start farm, yes, you actually have the property and stuff purchased for you already. Otherwise, new farmer, farm manager, and start from scratch kind of give you different options where land and other things are not purchased, as I mentioned. But what I would recommend is if you're playing multiplayer and want some things purchased for you, including your starting farm, go ahead and start farm, yes, and start this in single player and then load it in multiplayer afterwards. So we're going to go with $1 million just so I can show you some stuff, and we're going to go right like this. That DLC will be on too. All right, let's load right into Hutan Pantai, the Japanese map for Farming Sim 25. Let's go. Pretty loading screen too. Right from when you jump into the game, you have yourself a character creator, so go ahead and pick any of the prefabbed characters, and you can also modify everything from different t-shirts and hoodies and coats and things like that to fit the climate that you're playing in, or just whatever character that you want to make look like you or someone else. Doesn't matter, you can change this at any time. All right, well, welcome to the game. This is the map in Japan, and as you can see, we've started with a few pieces of equipment, combine harvester, and a little truck over there, which we can actually use as like a little hopper, like a chaser bin. So we have characters in the game now that we can talk to. There's people all over the map that you can chat with, and they're also going to be the people who will give you missions in the contracts. But check out that map, baby. That is a big-o map, actually, and I'm surprised with how big it is and yet small at the same time. It looks small. Even the American map looks small, but with all these winding roads going between the mountains, it takes quite a bit of time to go anywhere. Multiple gas stations and different rail stations. You can actually see the rail line in black there. We can drive the train too and even go on the highway. I wanted to give you a little bit of a tour around the map as soon as possible, but I also wanted to show you one of the most highly anticipated features, which is that rice. And by the way, AI traffic like that will actually pass you now. You can get overtaken on the roads, and yeah, it's really cool. The AI is much smarter now with driving, and so keeping that on is a good idea. Look at this. We barely even saw this thing from the ledge up there. A little tuk-tuk, which is perfect to drive into town and drop things off at the farmer's market. And cool that some of the equipment's already dirty. The maps look a lot more dirty and worn down, which is cool because you see a little dirtiness to the asphalt. So the world itself looks pretty good. The standard farm building mode is still here, where you can assemble and build your own farm and plop down things like these silos here, or the actual farmhouse, which is buildable now. There's much more of a reason to do logging because you can put down structures, and it'll save you a little bit of cash if you're willing to do the work in order to build things like a silo or a cow barn, or, well, garages and things like that. So cool stuff indeed. All right, well, we're going to go take a look at the most anticipated thing right now for me, which is rice harvesting. Here is our rice harvester, and this thing is a little beast, man. It's really cool. This thing here is your rice harvester, and of course it can pipe out to that other truck that we saw, and can hold quite a bit as well. Very nice exterior and a very nice interior too. Wow, look, there's even footprints at the bottom of the cab. I didn't notice that until just now. So check this thing out. Real nice, man. We're going to go over here to one of the rice fields and get started on a harvest. And we start with 3 fields that then later on can be flooded. And we can also, of course, seed them with the little seeder, which you may have seen just to the side of the storage hangar. So pretty neat. Now, we're going to also take a look at the GPS system in this game in just a moment. And it is quite cool indeed. Very, very cool stuff. I'm happy, man. I've been really enjoying this so far. And I want to try more stuff out. Only scratching the surface so far in this game, including this, a mushroom farm. We can now farm mushrooms with just adding water. That's right, just add water and you have yourself some mushrooms. So right off the start of most of the maps, they have like a little side business going on. Here, we've got our mushrooms. In the American map, I think it's honeybees, and there might even be some here too. So yeah, these will actually sell for quite a bit of cash. We just need to keep them growing by supplying them with water, and it's also the same with the rice for the seedlings, which can grow, and we can put those on a flatbed and then deliver these to the little seeder over here, which is incredible, this little thing. Look, it's like a little bicycle. It's crazy. Looks like a weird Zamboni, parade float, lawnmower. It's something, man. All of your little pallets or boxes of seedlings go here, and then this thing will basically put them right into the water, and you're good to go. And yeah, you flood the fields for harvesting rice, and then eventually, well, for growing rice, then it'll dry up a little bit. Got a lot of new tractors in the game. Before we jump in here and see the new rice harvester, I just wanted to point out a couple of pieces of equipment that really caught my eye playing. First of all, the store looks really well done. It's much more organized than before, and there's more stuff than ever in these more recent farming sims. It's pretty insane at how many things we have to keep track of. Of course, we have now spinach in the game, green beans and peas. Those are all new, and they have their own harvesters too, and those, of course, can be rented or purchased or leased, and also you could use these in the contracts. So if you want to try before you buy any of these pieces of equipment, you can definitely do that. A lot of these are the same. It really reminds me of beet harvesting or potato harvesting, because these are so large and they're kind of like these long rectangular like command centers. It's almost like driving a harvester in like a RTS game like Command and Conquer Red Alert or something like that. So all of these are pretty much the same. They're all very different, but like you get what I'm saying. They're all somewhat like the TMR mixer, but on steroids, that kind of thing. But they look really cool. They sound really cool. The sound design, the vehicle design are really well done here. I'd say a step up from Construction Simulator, maybe a step down from American Truck Simulator, but all in all, a very good thing. And if you're confused as to how a lot of things work, there's this pack system that shows you if you're going to go deal with cotton. Here's all the equipment to plant cotton or harvest it or transport it around. Of course, there's also the used vehicle sale, which you could get lucky and get an extra tractor right off the bat. Definitely check this at the start of the game. You know, for $1 million to get an extra tractor, especially if you're doing multiplayer, is a pretty good deal. And of course, there's also some placeables, which we should cover, because this is important for the new buildables, which you can plop down with the constructables, as they say. So I love this one here. We have ourselves a silo house. You can put that down and construct that yourself if you'd like to, built right out of the side of a silo. Kind of neat, actually. Cool design there. You have a few different farmhouses that are somewhat of an Asian style, but I could definitely believe being in the United States too. They did a really good job of trying to make them seem themed, but also kind of not themed, so that way they blend wherever you put them. So certainly could believe any of these houses being put anywhere. And you could even build like a little village with friends. Additionally, we could build these small little garages, and some of these things are locked to 90 degrees, so you won't be able to rotate them too much. Looks like some of the large garages are that way, but look, very affordable. Just $1,000 to put down the foundation for these, and then these will take timber or, well, like logs, lumber, and concrete to be able to be built. Additionally, on the map, there is a temple. In the Japanese map and also in the American map, there is a grain elevator museum, and these are things like, for example, up here, we can go and build like an old temple and restore that with all the materials that you've got. There's also hidden orbs all over the map. I'll give you a little hint as to where some of these are. Check under the bridges in town, and also there's one right down here at the end of this pier next to the boat, and one right over here as well. You're looking for like some orange orbs that have all these different symbols in them for barley, corn, sunflowers, whatever. I believe there's 25, hey, just like Farming Sim 25 per map. So there you go. All right, you ready to see some rice harvesting? Awesome. But before we do that, it's really important that we set up our GPS system. So let's go ahead and get to that then. Yeah, a lot of options in the game that are in the pause menu too, so don't forget to check this out under game settings to get everything the way you like it, including turning on and off automatic vehicle start. But one of the most important things, and I'm switching now to an Xbox controller to play this, is this new function of hiring workers, and they'll work a little bit more effectively with their GPS system. They can use it too, or, and you can see how they'll work there, the steering assist. So this thing is really like the you drive it and you operate the GPS system. Now we've activated it for this field, and that's what you got to do each and every time you do that. And we're going to, pull right up to the edge of the field. And now you can see right there that orange line. The orange line in the middle is the line that is basically going to be the center of our equipment, our tractor, or in this case the harvester. And the blue line is our range. So left and right is how much rice we'll be able to harvest. A little tricky to see all those different lines at once, but you can essentially see what they're trying to make us do is wrap around the field twice, going kind of in a circle or a spiral, and then working up and down kind of like a lawnmower, and chopping down each of those as we go back and forth. So we're going to go ahead and lower our harvester now and engage it, and we're going to start driving. So we're going to zoom out a little bit, and we're going to use cruise control. This thing can do about 12 kilometers per hour, and we're going to activate control, cruise control, and then we're going to hit B or H again, and you can see it immediately corrects our course. I missed a little bit of rice at the start there as the vehicle was correcting itself, but right now, yeah, we're on cruise control. So it looks like we could do about 8 kilometers as we're driving. 12 is the max for this vehicle. Now it'll beep. That beeping is basically us getting to the end of the line, and we could turn slightly and line up for another pass if we want to, or we can circle back. So now you see the line there, it's kind of creating a road. I do wish these lines were different shapes. It is kind of confusing if you're looking at it. You're like, what the hell am I looking at with all these lines? You got to kind of back up a little bit, set it, and then go again. So it's not a perfect system, but it is miles ahead of having nothing like we did in the previous versions. And remember, there are always tons of mods to Farming Simulator, folks, but we are talking about this is what you get if you pay these folks. This is the product as right out of the box, and these are things I think they should be doing if they want your money and not just leaving it up to mod makers. Now, to be completely fair to them, there is a billion different farm types in the world, different equipment and different maps and all sorts of different industries related to farming, so there's no possible way that they could feature every single thing, and so that's why mods are really strong in this game, and this is why the developers are starting to put more and more of the more popular mods in as base features, because now they know what players really truly want and what exactly they're looking for. So that's pretty cool. So we go all the way around and we harvest all of our rice, and then we can drop that off and store that for a while. But the GPS system is outstanding. Now this works with fertilization, this works with stone picking, this works for any time you're driving on a field. So it's a pretty good system, honestly, and I'm quite impressed with it, as well as this little piece of equipment. So yeah, it actually can, I think, harvest this entire field. So if you're wondering how much this little thing holds, it can pretty much harvest this entire field and get to close to 90%. And then, in fact, I think that right there, that lower field down there, that's 100%. So you can start from 0%, and that can harvest all of that with pure rice. Of course, you have different options for, I think you can bale in this one as well. I think it might be cutting it up, but you got different options to harvest all your fields that way. And it's really nice, and the way to transport it is perfect with that little truck. So, good stuff. Let's jump around town a little bit. Again, there's a lot to talk about here, folks, and I am not going to get to all of it. So if you skip to this part of the video, you jump right back to the beginning now. Don't skip through. You're missing all the juicy details about Farming Sim, and then you're going to say, oh, it's the same, nothing has changed, and you're skipping all the information, actually, where things are new. And, of course, there's always going to be those old things here. Farming Sim very much seems to be taking all of the old things and leaving them in and then trying to add new things too. And you don't want to add too much because it could be overly complicated and allow players to step up on their own and learn it that way. So anyway, this is the pump system for flooding your fields. And once you're ready to do that, every one of the little rice fields comes with this a little pump, and you can make these rice fields yourself. And to do that, it's a simple construction like what you would do with the other fields, which are the let's see if we can find it. You have yourself the grape vines and also the olive orchards. Those are the things that you can do here. I'm trying to find exactly where there are some of those. I forget what tab, but we can also build our very own factories too. Selling points, greenhouses. There it is, cultivation with the ability to grow grapes, olives for like olive oil or whatever, and then also the rice fields too, which comes complete with a little pump there that you should definitely include. So good stuff. That rice harvesting is very exciting. I like it. It's a new cool thing, and probably of the two things that they added before with olives and grapes, rice is really a well-welcomed experience. Now, green beans, spinach, and peas are new too, and again, we saw those harvesters there, so keep in mind that's not just this smaller scale stuff, but rice harvesting is cool. Let's go take a look at the town. Some really good notable locations in the town I'd like to drive around a little bit in, but we don't have a vehicle to quick travel there with just yet. That's actually down there, which is totally fine. But I must say, being in Japan a few times, there actually is quite a bit of accuracy to how these maps are laid out. Now, this is not a third-person open world experience or a first-person experience like a RPG. This is a farming simulator, so I think they did a really good job of laying out a town complete with construction sites and gas stations with not a lot of people walking around, and there's not a lot of cars on the road, but they will definitely overtake you, and there's a cool harbor and stuff, but this isn't Grand Theft Auto, and I think that was a lot of people's explanation for saying it's a dead world. There's nobody biking, there's not a lot of traffic on the streets, and not a lot of people walking around, and if there are, it's like one person in a sea of nothingness. And again, to me, that's totally fine. Going back to one of my favorite maps in Farming Sim 22 and before, the map of Switzerland. I really, really, really like that map for its slopes and mowing grass and taking care of cows. But as I think about it, not a lot of cars in that map either, and especially not a lot of people, except maybe in the towns or whatnot. So this is kind of the industrial area, but this does go into a more Japanese nightlife experience with open malls, and it's very cool because you will go down here to deliver, and there's a farmer's market nearby, which we're heading to right now, right in front of us, and so you might drive your tuk-tuk around in order to deliver some things down here. And there's also placeables, like little farmers markets that you can put on your own and have like a roadside shop that you might drive through here to get to. But at the back of this place, this farmers market, there's a delivery point, so you will be driving through this town a few times. In fact, if you look at the map, you'll notice that a couple of the roads, 3 of them here, go right through to get to the other side of some of these fields down there. So it'll be very easy to drive through the town to get to a lot of the fields in the east and or on the other side of the viaduct. There's a small canal here too, which is very accurate for Japan. It's got kind of like a controlled system there to control floodwaters and make sure there's not bank erosion, that kind of thing. So, and then there's also other purchasable farms on the map as well. So there's definitely room for everybody to do whatever they want. Now, one thing I'm not sure about, but I really hope they did here, is that this place looks pretty dead right now, and there's not even anybody selling anything. Hell, there's not even any crops here. But you can see some of the things we can grow. Oh, oysters? I wonder if we could do fish farming in the future. That'd be cool. The American map kind of alludes to that. But what I'm really hoping is that this place will come alive once we deliver some goods. These do need to be in a pallet, so we've harvested a lot of potatoes in our previous maps, and we yet have to deliver that. But really cool that they've got some pretty accurate medium density buildings that are pretty traditionally Japanese. A lot of square buildings next to then buildings that have more traditional roofing. And I think there's even like a temple or a shrine around here too that looks pretty cool. So honestly, for all the time I've spent in Japan, this is very accurate. Although the traffic is right-hand drive, the road systems are pretty accurate, as well as some like warning markers on the ground. And there's even street signs that are accurate as well, which point towards literal landmarks like the grain mill or the port or whatever. And not to mention the phone booth, which, yeah, they're typically green like that. And there's even little vending machines around. So the towns are really well done. And in the American map too, although this is a little higher in the density and the connectivity, the American one certainly feels more rural and kind of separated that way, where there's certainly a lot more independence to the homes where there's separate properties that fenced off. But this looks beautiful. They did a great job here. And what I said earlier about not being able to see across the whole map, you certainly can here because there's all these open fields, but not without being separated by some mountains or trees or the viaduct. There's a lot of great, like little separations to things. A high school here, just on the other side, I think over there, that building, and some nice homes too. And sorry, sir. Oh, did they stop? Wow. Okay. Hi. People actually stop when you walk in front of them too. So not just mindless little animations for things. I like it. Now, another thing is that you can visit any field at any time, so don't forget that you have that option. And the train itself, if you would like to, you can go to a train station and then rent the train from there. We're going to visit there, and I'm going to rent the train and just show you a little tour from the top of the rail bridge because it looks really splendid. And again, some really nice details around the train station. You might never even come here, but every area seems like it's got a little bit of attention paid to it, although the vending machine a little small. There's a restaurant here that's built into a train car. Look at that. Isn't that neat? The American map has a restaurant as well. This is a delivery point, I think. And the American map one is definitely too, because there is a steamboat that you can deliver to. And each of them have their own points. But remember, you can always buy a point in the game, like a sale point or a factory. So if you want to absolutely have a maybe an olive production chain and have olive oil going, you could definitely do that. You'll just need to, there we go, that's what I'm looking for. You'll need to actually purchase and place the buildings. So let's see if we got this going on. Rent the train. Train will arrive soon, 1.6 kilometer. Cool. Very, very nice. So this opens the door for many more maps in the future. There is kimchi that you can grow here, which is more Korean, and I believe there's also some references to Chinese cuisine too. So this is not necessarily Japan, but it's like 90% Japan. And the American map is not really Louisiana or like Arkansas or Mississippi, but it's like 90% one of those places that I think they're trying to make it really seem like there's a football field in that map, and I'm trying to think of where some of those famous American movies, like Friday Night Lights and Remember the Titans, I forget what southern state is really aggressive with football. All of them probably, Arkansas, Mississippi, Louisiana, and more in Georgia and other places too. But that one is certainly defined, I think, by the football field that's there in kind of a rural community. That really has a lot of cool stuff going on. Can't wait to show you that one. There's a sunflower maze, and it's got its own character as well. Where is this train? Takes a while to get here. It says that it's 600 meters away, so it's almost here. Now, the use of the train is significant for transporting things to another sale point. This map is connected to what they call a quote-unquote neighboring city, but I think it's actually marked as Goldcrest Valley or something like that, which is hilarious in Japan. So keep in mind that you can transport literal goods here, like, oh, here we are. A flatbed, so you can transport, oh, there you go. Yeah, pallets, you can transport wood on there. That's a grain hopper, and so good for green beans or cereals like wheat, oh yeah, literally, and barley, stuff like that, so not too bad. All right, the train is finally here. Whoop-de-doo. Interior looks nice. It's amazing. This game is part train simulator, part trucking simulator. It's pretty amazing, actually. So let's take a train tour through the town. And we'll probably bop it down to about 30 kilometers as we go. There we go. And I just want to go nice and slow as we take a look at what is over there. The animal dealer, which is really well done. For both maps, you can see the animals grazing, and there's now a pasture that you can put down that can hold 7 cows where they can graze from that too. But I've also seen some of those buildings be able to hold up to like 99 plus animals. In fact, I think there's a pigsty that holds 300 pigs, so there's a pretty huge amount of like livestock that you can have. Chickens, I think, are up to like a couple hundred as well. So if you plop down a couple of cow barns, you can almost have like over 1,000 cows. But there's probably going to be mods and stuff to modify that to your liking in the future. Now, this point is also used for sale. Like, for example, down there's some sell points where you don't always have to transport things via the train. They're just sell points that are connected to the train line too. And the American map is beautiful for having actual barges that go down the river. I feel like we're on a part of the Mississippi in that map, and so both of them are trying to create some sort of a division down the map. This is the viaduct, but of course there's all these roads down here. And there's little gas stations around. There's places to charge electric vehicles. I believe there might be an electric tractor in the game, and lots of other manufacturers too. While we're going down this way, there's not too much to see at the moment until we get a little further down, but I just wanted to point out some of the tractor brands for those of you who might really want to see these things. Here are the current small tractors, losing a few models from before, and I can't really blame the devs for that because there is, of course, always negotiations that have to go on with each and every one of these brands, getting a few new brands, but losing a few older brands. Some of these might be modded back in later on, but we're seeing a lot of John Deere's here, Case, and Dutz Far, Massey Ferguson, Valtra, a couple of the classics still remaining of some of the most popular of all of the tractors. So, yeah, I often say that this is a very ratchet game. We're gaining features, but we're not often going back too many steps. There's not a lot of things that we lose when we get a new farm simulator. We lose some of the old maps. We lose, I think, precision farming with this new version. But we gain a lot in terms of a forestry system that is much better. I've been toying around with the forestry system. The claw is usually the most annoying. Look at this stream down here. That's incredible. Yeah, the forestry industry is usually the most coolest and also most annoying and unplayable at the same time, because it's so difficult to load those logs. They're slippery and they're not sticky, and now they've made it more arcadey to where it's very easy now to load those logs, almost in an unfair, unrealistic way. But when you're playing with a controller, or when you're frustrated after many hours of play, it actually works to your advantage. But you get to control, you know, the realism of how accurately you grab those logs, and if they slip or something, the game's definitely kind of erroring in your favor just to make you have fun. And all your time should be really put into having a good time. Look at this. That's amazing. Farming Sim 25, man. Look at that city. It's like something like we're playing Transport Fever or City Skylines in like third person. That's cool. Yeah, the maps are really, really well done. The new maps are outstanding, and I'm a big fan of them. And I think this location and going to Asia is something I've been looking forward to a very long time. And it's really cool to see how other farms are. And Japan is very much like this, where there will be rice farms on terraces and then also open fields with many, many different crops like this, of a lot of mixture of crops, so that way they don't fail and things like that. And now we're at a train station. Beautiful. Well, that's just a glimpse of this map in Japan, but let's head on over to the American map now, and we'll see what that has to offer for us, and we'll go across some of the cool ferries in that one. Very cool, right? I thought so too. Let's go. All right, hello and welcome to America. Yeah, this is the Riverbend map, and it's a really nice map too. A Riverbend Valley, I believe it is. a really interesting river that reminds me of Denmark or something right here in the middle of the map, but a railroad cutting through this one, kind of going north, south as it goes east, and then a river that kind of does the same too. Very interesting map with a really cool new feature, the river crossings, which we'll go ahead and take a look at. There's actually one near our base here indicated by this little white boat. We can use ferries in order to get across, and there's no bridges on parts of the river, and the river has a few bridges, but one in the north, for example, you'll be spending a lot of time going to. Is there's some stuff up there, and a shop nearby too. There's a little, yeah, you see that? Take a look at that. Can you tell what that is? Yeah, it's like a little farm. And some sunflowers too. So there's like a little community center up there. People getting along and doing some cool stuff at a farmer's market, like a little attraction for the neighborhood. There's also a bunch of beehives there too, and some other farms that we can buy. But a lot of fields, and about the size of the Japanese map too. With that one kind of having a lot of water at the bottom. This one now having it as a river in the middle. A chicken coop here is already a start at the farm that we start at in the kind of the free farm mode, you know, the new fresh start. Started with a couple of tractors here and cultivators, and I think there's even some seeders here. Good old John Deere. I like how a few things are already instantly dirty, as if like we haven't just purchased this farm out of nowhere. You can interact with the doors too, and also I think flip on and off the lights, if this will work. Well, yeah, anyway, there's a few lights that you can interact with in the game, and they can turn on at night. There's also a hay bale maze up at the top of this barn, so you can go up there. Maybe there's some hidden items, who knows. And a big old set of 3 or 4 fields right out front for you, or right out back, I guess, that you can immediately start harvesting. Each and every time you load a game, it might be different as to what's here. So just keep in mind that you might have some crops ready to go, like canola or wheat. I would definitely recommend in a few of the maps to start closest to your farm when you start buying land. Indications of like green and orange are land that you already own. So yeah, I would definitely buy 6 and 7 and 8 and just kind of start all around you. But there's a nice little town nearby, like right just behind the starting area. Yeah, this is kind of that rural field that I was talking about, where things are kind of built up real nice. Oh, hey, look, a United States Postal Service truck. Only in the U.S. only in the U.S. map, and the driver's actually on the right side of the vehicle, which makes sense because, you know, the mailboxes are on the right. And the school bus too. All right, hey, let me come back. I need to learn a few things, please. Take me with you. I have to learn the basics still. Yeah, in the American map and in the Japanese map, there's some specific vehicles. Also, there's a dirt bike in this game, too, so maybe we'll take that around. But some really nice semi-trucks in this game. I think we're going to go to the shop and buy and go on that river crossing. So let's go buy some vehicles, by the way. And there is so many different pieces of equipment in this game, and so many things that have engines, like harvesters and foragers and like sugarcane planters. I mean, even if you put all the tractors out, think about all the stuff you'd be missing out on, or some of the equipment that's powered, like, for example, balers. I think there's even a square baler that you could buy that's wow, another school bus. That's a whole nother, like piece of equipment that you can drive around with. I'm trying to find it, but yeah, maybe you'll find it in some of the contracts. But let's grab ourselves a semi-truck. So up at the top, we have ourselves a couple of new vehicles. I think some of these are real brands, like Skoda, I think, is from the Czech Republic. But there's an international truck here, a couple of little things. You can now sit with a friend in a vehicle. So if you buy an RTV and you want to drive around, you could drop them off at the equipment. So that's really helpful for, like, realism. If you start at the farmhouse and someone's like, hey, could you give me a ride to the harvester? They can hop in the vehicle with you, and I think a lot of this equipment is enterable with a friend. So pretty cool. Really, really cool. Let's grab ourselves a semi. Yeah, this Mac will do. Let's grab this big old Mac, brother. Hell yeah. Little customization here. A couple of steps down from what you'd expect from something like American Truck Simulator, but it's pretty damn close, honestly. At least in terms of some of the driving. It's a little janky, but it's close. Like, it's within 20 miles. That's what I'm saying. So very cool. Not too many options for some of these pieces of equipment, but a lot of them do have quite a few options for customization with different designs, rim color, layout. Some of these trucks even come with like a day cab, so you can actually, like in this one, it's just the paint job. But I think with the international cab over, you can get a day cab too. So there is some unexpected differences between each of the vehicles. That's kind of a niceful. Yes, it's very niceful indeed. A delightful, nice delight. Let's go ahead and grab a trailer too. I think, let's see, we have ourselves low loaders, flatbeds. It's encouraged now that you transport vehicles around via flatbed too. You could buy yourself like a tractor and then something to haul your little rice harvester around. This would be perfect for it, the DTS 5.9, and so it's really cool to throw that on there and drive that thing around. Same with the planter. So it's a good thing to do with the other truck that's new, which you may have seen here, like for example this little. I actually haven't seen it. Where is it? Yeah, here. So this International, or this Lizard, these like box trucks, you know, kind of like Snow Runner. You haul it around that way. Anyway, we're all done with that. Let's grab ourselves a semi-trailer. We'll grab we'll just grab a Load King, and we'll go drive around a little bit and see how this works. We'll buy that too. Perfect. So the American shop and the Japanese shop have a little maintenance bay that's somewhat attached to it, but yet a little further away. So once you buy your equipment here at the shop or the store, I thought the maintenance bay would be right here because there's large garages, but if you're going to modify your equipment, like take a tractor and put thin tires on it so you can do fertilization, this is where you do that. There's a little area here that you can park in and then go to the wrench, and then you can customize your vehicles that way. I believe the customizations work where if you buy it once, you don't have to buy it again. You could just go back to the shop to switch between your different options. So that's pretty cool. Let's grab this tractor here. Tractor trailer, I guess. And yeah, big old Mac brother. Again, great detail to the inside of all the vehicles. They've done a good job of paying attention to it. It's pretty close to ATS. It's a step down, you could argue, for sure. But it's a way much larger step up than like not allowing us to see the interior. And in a game that's a simulator, they really nailed it with like kind of how things feel and how they handle. For the massive, absolute, insane amount of different vehicles and equipment we have in this game, we get a pretty good amount of detail. You know, when it comes to ATS and Euro Truck, those are just trucks. When it comes to construction sim, oftentimes it's just a few vehicles. But here it's like a mix of both, and so I'm pretty impressed. Press N, we can take on and off that tarp there. But we're going to go and drive to one of the little ferries now. And I believe I don't think we can mark that, so I'm going to have to try to remember where it is. Driving around with a mouse and keyboard now, but I prefer to drive with a controller. But this game does allow you to instantaneously switch between the two. You can even play this game with a steering wheel if you want, which is a pretty good option if you'd like. So the American map looking pretty damn cool. Honestly, there's a lot of unique buildings here. I'm not seeing too many things that are repetitive. It's a large water tower to my left, which you can use to actually fill up your tankers, so you can give your cows or your crops or whatever water, like if you're growing something in a greenhouse. Ooh, all over the road here. A little harder to drive with a mouse and keyboard, but still pretty darn cool to be able to switch on the fly. And I think the dairy building is here. We got ourselves a level crossing for the railroad. Pretty cool train on this map as well. The trains kind of look the same. I wish they would make the Japanese one look a little different, but maybe they did their research on that and found out that they built shunters instead of like large locomotives. So one of the things that really caught my attention here as to whether or not it would be interesting is this system here. This is the ferry, and this, you know, runs day and night. And if you look at it, it actually says like it'll only run certain days or whatever. But we're going to call this thing, and we're going to summon it over, and it'll be here in just a moment or two. If you go up to that sign and hit R, you'll call it over. It's very slow, but it gets here eventually, and then you could drive your vehicle onto it. While we're waiting, suspiciously, there's a fish farm here, what seems to be something for like the U.S. Department of Wildlife or whatever it is. It looks like they're actually trying to raise fish here and release them back into the river, and the Japanese map with the oysters kind of also alludes to that too, where there might be some sort of, I don't know, fishing DLC or something coming in the future, fish farm DLC. I'm not sure, but you know, it's still kind of cool to speculate. Look at that. So that little ferry shows up. More than enough room to park a few vehicles on this thing. If you got a massive harvest going on, and you need to bring like a harvester, a tractor, and a couple of trucks, you can pretty much, like in one shot, fit everything on this ferry, and it's pretty good. Gate will open up, and we're switching back to our controller now. Time to roll on to the ferry. More like ATS and Euro Truck now, isn't it? Because that game also, both those games have ferries, so that's pretty cool. All right, we're going to stop her right here, and we're going to let the ferry know that we're ready to go. We just hit the go key, and that little gate goes down there. And we're on our way. Nice. Now, the morning fog looks really good in this game. You can actually see a little bit of it over the water, and they've really tried to hype out that fog like crazy. And also the tornadoes, which I haven't seen yet. Funny enough, you can see we're moving at like 6 kilometers per hour, 7 over in the right corner on the speedometer, even though we're not moving at all. But some spectacular screenshots that you can get here with your vehicles crossing the river. And I think there's even a little boat that pushes the logs from the sawmill in too, so pretty nice. There goes that postal service truck again. Let's go. There's also like a UPS truck that'll drive around, a couple of school buses that you've seen, and some other smaller trucks and cars. So, oh, and look at that little boat over here. That's like the little boat for pushing in logs and stuff. I don't think we get to operate any of that yet, but I really hope we get something to do with feeding fish and water and stuff in the future. So there is a, I've been taking this route a lot lately because there's a lime facility up here where you can go pick up lime for your fields. And so there's a lot of trips back and forth this way. It's a little bit of a wait, but honestly, if you're playing farming sim, you know the game is slow. I mean, seriously, even flight sim is slow. If you're gliding or flying around and trying to take pictures of things, games can go as fast or as slow as you want. Now, if you want to hack in more than $1 million to this game, if you want all the money in the world so that way you can buy all the vehicles and equipment and try them out for yourself, which I definitely recommend, quote-unquote, cheating. Oh, yes, I know, I'm an endorser of the worst type, I guess. No, this game is not really competitive, right? If you're playing with friends or if you're playing alone, if you bought this game, or if you're playing it on Game Pass, it's your time, it's your money, and I think you want to definitely get out some of your favorites. So just subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. We'll have a video out on how to get all the money. There are mods and some other things to do, but I'll show you an even faster way than downloading anything. And then you can spawn any of these vehicles you want and have your own setup, so that way you can do what you want with the equipment and learn how it works before you really buy it for real in the game, and then kind of plan out your moves in advance. But again, look at all that equipment. Insane. All right. Well, we didn't see the Japanese temple, but what I did want to go show you right now was the grain elevator, which is kind of a historical site. There's the grain elevator museum here. And this location is actually, yeah, it's dilapidated and falling apart. It looks like bad times. But this, as you can see in the lower right corner, wood beam 6,000, planks long 6,000. This is something we can actually rebuild in the game. And so that's where all your logging can go into, as well as building other stuff, or just straight up selling it. Some of the buildings even require concrete, so you'll put down a building that processes that. And there's some items that you can, if you look around long enough, you'll find some items that will go on display in the museum. Like, it's a museum, so there's going to be things like, yeah. Anyway, yeah, there's, what the hell? Okay. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of stuff on display, so it's pretty cool. So, yeah, the maps in this map, I think the biggest one in Japan was like the 4, and this one has quite a few more big maps, 70, or fields within the map, 77, 76 down there, and a really cool coastline as well. So that's what makes me think it's, you know, Louisiana, but it also kind of looks like a lake. I don't know. You decide. It's whatever. The map size, though, is, as you'd imagine, like about as big as this, you know, kind of where the fields square up. So not bad, honestly. I really like the maps in this game. I think they stepped up their game a lot with the detail of the maps, with differences in height and details like asphalt being ripped apart and gravel and other things from repeated travel from tractors and other vehicles. And it looks really nice. Like, if I could build a city like this in City Skylines and then drive around it in the first person, this is what I would want. They've done a great job of, like, making little areas and zones to where you really feel like you're traveling a long distance by having to take so many inconvenient routes that, like, inconvenience you as you drive around. So no more straight routes of just driving across 10 fields anymore. There's a lot of things to get in your way. Yeah, there's the restaurant, the Steamboat Restaurant, which is cool too. Now, I don't know if we've seen it, but there are some barges that will drive around too. They actually might be visible on the map. I'm not too sure, but they will go up and down and actually pass each other, and is a deliverable location. I think the barges may pull up here at one of the terminals, and you can load up the barges. Yeah, there you go, with grain. So pretty cool. And then that one won't move, but it's simulated that there's just tons of farming going on along the river, and that boats are coming and going all the time with that cargo. But yeah, I think they did a great job with these maps. Truly, a big step forward that gets me in to wanting to, like, do a lot of business in the world. And so, you know, farming is one of those things that over the years it never changes, yet it's also changed tremendously. So I think for the developers, not really, you know, there's not a ton that's new here, but then there's also a ton new at the same time. I mean, seriously, like, they don't necessarily control how farming works, so they're just kind of simulating a world of what a lot of that actually takes place in, but also there's different ways to do things. Like, potatoes now don't need to have a, you know, they don't need a header on the, they don't need to be topped anymore, like, they don't need to be cut up. So, you know, but beets, you still need to do that. Ah, nice. So anyway, they've changed some of the methods of farming to maybe meet more of the locations we'll currently be in the United States and Japan. I don't know. It's just cool. And some pretty areas to walk around as well. Map tours are really fun. So I definitely recommend when you get the game for yourself, don't even start farming. Just grab a vehicle and drive around, or grab a dirt bike and grab around, roll around and go look for stuff. And go get lost and go see how cool the world is and how detailed it is. I know this isn't like, you know, it's not Baldur's Gate. It's not The Witcher 3. The writing and some of the characters is cringe, and some of these things are kind of dumb. Oh, and this is perfect for your wonderful little dirt bike. But yeah, they've done a great job with the world. So definitely go take a tour with it. It's not Kingdom Come Deliverance or whatnot, but it's still really cool. And I think it's worth a little trip around before you start your farming. And at least it's cool to see what they made. Alright everyone, well that's going to conclude our video for today on Farming Simulator 23. A lot more to see, a lot more to do. I could only scratch on the surface of some of the biggest things, which obviously are the maps, and also of course the new crops such as, we have rice and green beans and more things to see. Oh, there goes the train. Isn't that nice? So anyway, I'll see you all next time for more Farming Simulator 25. Let me know your questions down below in the comments section. I'll happily answer them if you ask them, and I will see you all very soon for more. So thanks again for subscribing to the channel, hanging out and being awesome, and I hope to see you all soon down here at the old sunflower maze. Oh yeah, there's even a little maze you can get through, and you'd be amazed at how cool this game is. I like it. I don't know. I hope you enjoy it too. So anyway, until next time, I'll see you when I see you. Dinosaur Man out. All right, take care. See you. I'm going to go ahead and jump up here real quick and see if I can see more cool stuff. Wonder if there's any hidden museum parts in here. There probably is. Look at that. Damn, that's a huge maze. Oh. Neat. Goodbye.